All right, let's get started. Preston, welcome to Career Conversations. How are you, man?
Man, I'm so glad to be here. I'm finally glad we can finally get this to work.
Calendars can be a tricky thing, but if you keep working at it, you find open times.
Absolutely.
Well, before we get into the book, which I'm actually as excited as I am about it, my kids even more excited about it. But before we get into that, just tell everybody about you. Who are you?
All right, man. So my name is Preston Thorne. My first thing that I consider myself is a teacher. I taught for over a decade in the public schools. I taught at Blackwood High School here in South Carolina, Columbia, South Carolina. And that is sort of the foundation for everything else that I do. And when people ask me what I do, I'm a teacher. I'm a teacher coach. Prior to my teaching career, I played football for the University of South Carolina. I was a history major, and all of that, all of those ideas and all of that kind of weird mix of different paths has sort of got me to where I am currently.
So, and where are you currently? Tell everybody where you are currently.
Perfect. So today, currently, I have a couple of different, gigs. I don't know how you want to call them. I'm sort of have made myself into the new work world where I'm working a couple of different gigs and piecing everything together. So I work in the college education at the University of South Carolina, working with teachers that are going into the pre-professional practice. So I'm working with that group of folks. My big gig is I'm an author, and with writing books, I also go around the schools and present with my partner Langston Moore, and we talk about the power of literacy, and we kind of spread the idea of why reading books is so important to your creative mind. And so that's what I also do. And I also do a little bit of radio. I'm a radio on the side. So I got a little bit of everything going around.
You know, one of my favorite stories, and it's not because you're a Carolina guy like me. It's such a fun book, is Just a Chicken. And I will never forget being at Holiday Market for Junior League in Columbia and physically bumping into Langston. And I had no idea that you guys had done that. And I bought it for my nephew who had just been born. And now we have a copy of it for my kids. It is one of the, it's in the rotation every night. What inspired you and Langston to do that?
Yeah, so appreciate it first and foremost. But Coach Holtz used to tell us this story, and he had all kinds of stories that he used to tell us. But it's sort of from this old parable about an eagle that gets dropped in the chicken coop, and he thinks that he's just a chicken because he grew up with the chickens. And then one day he sees an eagle flying up above, and he says, what's that? And they say, oh, that's the eagle. He can fly high in the sky, et cetera, et cetera. And he's like, oh, too bad I'll never be that because I'm just a chicken like y'all. That was sort of Coach Holtz telling us as 0-11 Gamecocks that, we could be better than what we were. But it's a story that always stuck around with us. And we just tried to figure out a way how we could use this story and parallel it into these concepts of self-esteem, self-identity, and all of these different sort of questions and limitations that we put on ourselves throughout our careers and lives.
I love it. Drawing inspiration from Coach Holtz and then turning it into a children's book. So what was the process like in developing that book?
It was arduous, really. We thought it was going to be really easy. We thought it's just a children's book. This will be simple. And, just like any other project, you learn way more from doing than reading or theorizing. And you just sort of build the plan as it goes. But as far as tools that we use, we collaborated using Google Docs. We a lot of text message threads, a lot of all those things to collaborate and get those ideas on paper. And then it was just simply going back and forth. The key process for me was reaching out to our illustrator, Kev Roche. And that was just through the DM. The magic always happens in the DM. It's just a DM and expressing our mutual interest. And we sort of got together and was able to form this team, and he was able to bring that vision to life. But it was really reaching out to those different people that can help you with different aspects of the operation.
You have magic when you match story with illustration. And I felt like the illustrations in Just a Chicken were just absolutely perfect. When I read it to my 3-year-old, after we're done, she'll look up at me and she goes, "Daddy, I'm not just a chicken either." And, being a Carolina grad, there's always been this, I don't know if it's an inferiority complex that we've had in the SEC, but I mean, it probably is. And, throughout, with Coach Holtz taking us to the Outback Bowl, Spurrier going 3 straight 10-win seasons, Frank Martin and Don Staley, Don winning 2 national titles, Coach Tanner 2 national, there's always been those glimpses. I feel like the book encapsulates that of a Carolina grad as much as it does anything else. So tell us about the new book. I want to hear about the new one.
Yeah, man, and I'm glad you picked up on that, because obviously it's a kid's book, but when you read it as an adult, it's like, yeah, that's kind of true. And also, we wanted to spread this idea of, and I never felt this while I was living here, but when I lived in other places, people would talk about South Carolina in not the greatest terms, and I was like, man, this is a beautiful state. This is where my people are from. I know wonderful people here, and kind of just letting kids know that this place, you can do a lot of magical things being from this place in the state. So our new book is called "Houston Was a Rooster," and it's about transition, and it's probably about a lot of stuff that you help folks with when they're transitioning from one stage of their life to the next stage of their life. And it's something that we all go through. It's something that happens. But in this particular story, our lead character, Cocky, he loses his crow, and he has to figure out what does he do after he can't crow anymore. And so that's sort of the story. And it really just mirrors our lives, like we're 2 middle-aged guys. We try to figure out what's happening in life and all these different ideas. So that's sort of what the story ended up being about.
I can't wait. When does it come out?
It's out now. We are official and we are ready to roll.
Where can I get a copy of it?
Well, one, we always love for you to get us in person. If you see us at any games or any tailgates or anywhere like that, we'd love to sign and send you a copy. But if you want to get it online, you can get it at athletesandartists.net, and you can go in and get that book. You can get all our information from there.
Awesome. Preston, what advice would you have to an athlete graduating right now who maybe isn't quite sure where they want to take their career?
It's fine. You don't have to be exactly sure where you want to take your career. We've kind of landed on this idea of working on your skills of, reading, writing, and speaking. That's what we tell everybody. Read deeply in your career field so that you're knowledgeable about what's going on and new trends and how you can really help about it. Be able to write really well so that you can add value to your company that you're going into. And then the last thing the key part, and you probably know this working with so many folks, is being able to convey your message verbally, being able to speak well and express yourself. And those are very basic skills, but we feel like if you do well in those skills, your career path you'll find your career path. That's sort of the main thing that we always espouse.
I used to always get asked back when I was a recruiter, when I coached basketball, Coach, when did you know what you wanted to do when you grew up? And the answer was, I never had an answer for that. And even as a business owner, like I still don't have an answer for it, because you're constant. The day you figured it out is probably the day you should retire, I've always thought. And, or you should change something. And I've just kind of had that mentality. And I think that's great advice for anybody, not just a new graduate. Last question. If you had to pick one song to describe your work style, what would it be?
My work style, my one song to describe my work style. Man, so I'm a music guy. I love music. And this question is tough because, man, it's like, what song do I pick? Oh, man. Tame Impala, Let It Happen.
Let it happen.
Let it happen.
I like it.
Let it happen. And that's just from doing the work, man. Just let it happen.
Well, Preston, thank you so much for joining me today. Great catching up with you. And I cannot wait to read the new book. And you can find it at athletesandartists.net. But if you're at a Gamecock game, find Preston or Langston and get them to sign a copy for you.
Absolutely. You can hit us. You can find us on Twitter. I'm at Coach P Tweets on Twitter. Langston's at Remove the Chains. And just find us anywhere, man. And that's our biggest thing. We're in the community. We're of the community, and we want to be around.
Awesome, man. Preston, it was good talking with you.
For sure. Appreciate it, Franklin.